This is you. The rain hammers against the corrugated tin roof of the safe house like a firing squad. You sit in the dark, staring at the glowing blue code cascading across your encrypted laptop screen. The air in this miserable room smells of ozone, damp concrete, and the bitter black coffee you've been surviving on for 3 days. You haven't slept. Sleep is a luxury for people who aren't currently holding the geopolitical balance of an entire continent on a single hard drive. A floorboard creaks down the hall. Just a subtle shift in weight. Your heart hammers against your ribs. A cold spike of adrenaline hitting your bloodstream. You quietly slide the suppressed Sig Sauer P-226 off the desk. They're here. The CIA Special Activities Center. The absolute best hunters on the planet. And they aren't here to arrest you. They're here to erase you. You weren't always a ghost running from American kill teams. Before the blood, before the black sites, before the collapse of a nation, you were just a kid who saw the world differently. While other kids played in the dirt of the capital's slums, you watched the ants. You saw the brutal, beautiful efficiency of their colonies. You saw systems, mathematics, algorithms. You grew up in a country choked by corruption, where your own mother died simply because a hospital's supply chain was looted by a greedy local magistrate. At 12 years old, standing over her unmarked grave in the pouring rain, you didn't vow revenge with a gun. You vowed to build a system so perfect, so mathematically flawless, that human error and greed could never exist within it again. You became a savant. By 22, you were writing doctoral theses on predictive socioeconomic modeling and algorithmic resource distribution. You thought you were going to be an academic. You thought you were going to save the world from behind a university desk. You were dead wrong. The trigger event didn't come with an acceptance letter. It came with a black canvas bag ripped over your head in a university parking lot. The smell of chloroform. The violent shove into the back of an unmarked van. When they finally pulled the hood off, you were blinded by the golden chandeliers of the presidential palace. Standing in front of you was El Presidente himself, a man the Western world called a bloodthirsty tyrant. But to his people, he was a god. He didn't look like a god. He smelled of expensive Cuban cigars and stale sweat. He tossed your 400-page thesis onto the mahogany desk. You say you can predict human behavior, he rumbled, his voice like grinding stones. You say you can build a system that anticipates rebellion before a single protester takes to the streets. Build it for me, or I put a bullet in your mathematically perfect brain. You didn't build it out of loyalty. You built it out of sheer, terrifying survival. Your initiation into the inner circle wasn't physical. It was psychological torture. They locked you in a subterranean server farm beneath the Ministry of Defense. For 6 months, you breathed recycled air and the metallic scent of overheating processors. You were surrounded by the regime's most vicious operators. That's where you met Silas. They called him the Hound. He was the head of the secret police, a massive man with a face mapped by knife scars and eyes, devoid of anything resembling mercy. Initially, he despised you. He thought you were a weak, soft-handed academic. Numbers don't bleed, kid, Silas sneered one night, racking the slide of his rifle as you coded. Men bleed. You think your little keyboard is going to keep this country in line? But you proved him wrong. You built the Panopticon, an invisible digital net that monitored every phone call, every bank transaction, every GPS movement in the country. You didn't need to kick down doors. You froze bank accounts. You rerouted food supply trucks away from rebellious districts, starving out uprisings before a single rock was thrown. You made dissent mathematically impossible. Silas became the physical extension of your digital will. You formed a twisted brotherhood. You were the brain. He was the brutal, bloody fist. You shared cheap whiskey in the dead of night, looking at the glowing maps of the capital. You're a monster, you know that. Silas chuckled one evening, clinking his glass against yours. I kill them with my hands. You kill them with a keystroke. I think I'm actually scared of you. But the escalation was inevitable. The Panopticon worked too well. The dictator grew addicted to the control. The purges started. First, it was the actual terrorists. Then, it was political rivals. Then, journalists. Soon, El Presidente was demanding you use the algorithm to flag anyone who had a statistical probability of betraying him in the next 10 years. You were eroding. Every time you hit enter, someone vanished. You smelled the phantom scent of copper and blood on your own clean hands. You were turning the country into a flawless, perfectly operating slaughterhouse. Then came the turning point. The CIA had been watching. They couldn't topple the regime conventionally. Your predictive models were too good. So, they decided to cut off the head. But not El Presidente's head, yours. They infiltrated a virus into the Panopticon. Not to destroy it, but to alter the data. Suddenly, the algorithm flagged a massive, imminent coup. And the orchestrator, according to the fabricated data, was Silas. El Presidente summoned you to the execution courtyard. The air was thick with the smell of wet earth and impending death. Silas was on his knees, his face beaten to a bloody pulp, his hands zip-tied behind his back. El Presidente handed you a loaded Makarov pistol. The steel was freezing in your sweating palm. Your machine says he is a traitor, the dictator whispered, his breath hot on your neck. Your machine is never wrong. Execute him. Prove your loyalty to the system. You looked into Silas's eyes. He didn't beg. He just gave you a slow, bloody nod. Do it, his eyes said. Survive. But you saw the code in your head. You saw the anomaly. You knew it was a CIA plant. But if you spoke up, if you said the system was flawed, El Presidente would kill you both. The perfect order you built was a lie. It was just a tool for a madman. You raised the gun. Your finger trembled on the trigger. Bang. You didn't shoot Silas. You shot the dictator's lead bodyguard right in the throat. Chaos erupted. Blood sprayed across your face, warm and metallic. You grabbed Silas by the collar, dragging him behind a concrete pillar as automatic fire shredded the courtyard. You stupid son of a bitch. Silas roared, spitting blood. We're dead. No, you yelled over the deafening crack of AK-47s. We're unplugging the machine. You fought your way out of the palace not with brute force, but with genius. As you ran, you used your encrypted phone to trigger every failsafe you ever built. You killed the power grid to the palace. You opened the automated gates of the maximum security prisons. You unleashed absolute, total anarchy. The dictator's perfect world burned to the ground in 20 minutes. Silas took a bullet to the lung covering your escape. He died in the passenger seat of a stolen jeep, choking on his own blood, laughing weakly. Told you, numbers don't bleed. You buried him in an unmarked grave, just like your mother. Now, you are the most dangerous man alive. You are stateless. You hold the source code to the most intrusive surveillance state ever created. The dictator's death squads want you dead. But worse, the CIA wants you. They don't want to arrest you. They want to enslave you. They want to plug you into a basement in Langley and make you build a global Panopticon for them. Which brings you back to this moment. The dark safe house, the rain, the creaking floorboard. You close the laptop. You slide the hard drive into a waterproof pouch on your tactical vest. You grip the Sig Sauer, checking the chamber. Suddenly, the front door explodes inward in a shower of splintered wood and blinding white light. Flashbang. The concussive wave hits you like a freight train, stealing the breath from your lungs. Your vision goes white, your ears ringing with a high-pitched scream. Through the blinding smoke, 3 laser sights cut through the darkness, painting your chest in red dots. Target acquired. A sterile, American voice echoes through the ringing in your ears. Take him alive. You smirk, wiping a trail of blood from your nose. You press a single button on a remote detonator hidden in your pocket. You didn't just wire the Panopticon. You wired the foundation of this entire building with C4. If they want the genius, they have to survive the madman. You dive backward out the shattered window as the world erupts into fire. The shockwave hits you before the heat. You are entirely weightless for a split second, suspended in the freezing rain, as the safe house behind you vaporizes into a blinding ball of orange plasma. The shockwave punches the air out of your lungs and sends you crashing through the dense, rotting canopy of the jungle below. You slam into the mud, bones rattling, ears bleeding from the pressure. You don't stop. You don't check for broken ribs. You just run. Behind you, the flames illuminate the rain. You know the CIA kill team isn't dead. Men like that don't die in simple explosions. They wear top-tier kinetic armor and move like water. The blast only bought you a 3-minute head start. You scramble down the steep, muddy ravine, sliding through the dark underbrush. The jungle smells of wet earth, copper, and adrenaline. You reach into your tactical vest and pull out a modified sat phone. It has no screen, just a single toggle switch. You flip it. Somewhere in low Earth orbit, a ghost satellite you hijacked months ago shifts its trajectory. You're completely off the grid, but you just turn the grid against them. You hear them before you see them. The subtle crunch of boots on wet leaves. They are fanning out, their night vision goggles painting the jungle in a pale green hue. They are hunting you like an animal, but they forgot one crucial detail: you are the architect of the system. Your earpiece crackles. You tuned it to their encrypted tactical frequency. Target is mobile, moving south by southwest. Do not engage lethally. Langley wants his brain intact. The team leader's voice is chillingly calm despite the explosion. You crouch behind the massive roots of a banyan tree. Your breathing shallow, perfectly controlled. You type a 4-digit command into a waterproof keypad strapped to your forearm. Suddenly, the lead operator's night vision goggles short-circuit, flashing a blinding strobe light directly into his retinas. He stumbles back, crying out in shock, completely blind. Before his teammates can react, you trigger the secondary protocol.